Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And first of all, I want to say thank you that you come here without probably knowing what to expect. Only two days ago, I figured out I provided a title for my speech, but I didn't have any promise in it. So what it is, the power of transparency, nobody knows probably, right? There used to be a promise in there, and the promise is, if you follow the secret formula I share with you today, you will double, triple, or even quadruple your income in the next 3 to 6 months. Who is with me on it? And this is a promise I tell, thank you, from experience of myself and experience of my clientele. I'm Mykola Latansky. I'm coming from the Ukraine, and a little background on myself. So far, I spoke live in 28 countries. My clients live in over 70 countries. They are primarily Russian-speaking people born in Soviet Union and still are there at their territories or outside, emigrated. Over 50% of our clientele comes through the word of mouth, and we have zero cold calling in the last 11 years from our office. How does this happen? I tell you the story. I tell you the secret. But I want you to know, first of all, my life is continuously going up and down, up and down, up and down. And there is a huge resource in this. Only 18 months ago, I was weighing extra 35 kilograms. Yeah. July 2016, my weight was 136 kilograms. Today, I'm weighing 35 kilograms less. And in the last 6 months, I'm training with my wife, Tatiana, give a hand, with 3 times Olympian. And these years, I will be swimming in Spain, 5 kilometers long, in Italy, 4.5 kilometers, in Greece, 5 kilometers, in Turkey, crossing the Bosphorus, 6.5 kilometers, in Ukraine, 10 kilometers, so in Brazil, 10 kilometers. How can this happen in all this only 18 months? I tell you how. And this is why I call this presentation the hero's journey, and how we can use this to become extremely rich. But turning back to the speaker's business, who of you are speakers? I can imagine not everybody here speakers. Yeah, okay, less than half. But still, at the general Global Speaker Summit, we are speaking about speaking business. What I have noticed in many years I'm working in the speaking industry as a trainer, as a coach, as a speaker, as an expert, many speakers trying too hard to be someone and to impress others instead of being themselves and let the success flow into their lives. What I found observing many speakers worldwide, and this is, I don't know, this is second or third Global Speaker Summit I'm speaking already. We speakers often develop, concentrate on presentation skills instead of developing our human skills. Back in 2007, when I started the speaker's business, I had no idea how to run the business. I had no guidance. I had no mentors. What I had was what used to be a huge desire to change the world, to share the message, but I didn't know how to do this. I was financially broke, but I would go to the Toastmasters meeting. Do you have Toastmasters here probably, right? Yeah. And I would pretend I am perfect man. My problem was I was born and raised in the Soviet Union. And I don't know if you know this, but in the Soviet Union, we were taught to be perfect in everything. Because Soviet Union tried to show up perfect, although we were totally broke and still are, more or less. I would go to the Toastmaster meeting and I would stay in front of the audience pretending I am rich, but I was not. I would give an evaluation. I would put some people down only later to understand I was doing this for myself to feel better. And I didn't know why people didn't want to hire me, to work with me, to invite me to speak. And I also didn't know what to do next. Until one day I realized, if I want to be perfect, I need to find a perfect teacher. And I found one. And with my broken account, selling the last piece of property, I flew to the United States to see Jack Canfield. Who of you knows Jack Canfield? Yeah, my friend, mentor. The moment the doors open, I'm sitting in the front row. Now my life will change. I found the perfect teacher. Here's a guy on the stage, name's Jack Canfield. First half hour of his presentation, I'm learning that his 70 years old son is drug addicted and he is figuring out how to help him. He is now in a third marriage and he is trying to become the best husband ever so that this marriage would be his ever last marriage. Later on, I'm learning that he has problems with overweight. I sold my car. I borrow money to fly over the ocean to see the man who would teach me perfect. But in the first half hour of his training, he taught me all the things that makes him imperfect. Something interesting happened in the next moments. I started to understand and realize I'm falling in love with this man. It doesn't matter anymore what kind of suit he has. I don't care about his shoes. What I have started to feel is empathy to him as a father having troubles with his son, as a man who has hard time dealing with a woman, as a man who has just an issue with overweight. I didn't know back then that this is called the law of transparency. Only later, when I started to learn the law of transparency, I see how it does work in business, in life. Are you ready to learn the law of transparency? Yes. Okay, this is pretty simple. As all genius things, they are simple. When we allow ourselves to become who we are, when we allow ourselves to be transparent and tell the truth without pretending, without wearing the masks, without impressing people, we of course become vulnerable. But vulnerability is what leads to what? To intimacy. And intimacy ultimately leads to where? To trust. Isn't trust what we are looking for when we are trying to establish friendship and business partnership? When I'm doing a training, actually one of the Jack's training, I'm licensed by him to do his Breakthrough to Success training. We are doing this training for 2 or 3 days in a row. The second day, we begin with this low transparency exercise. Bless you. People would sit in pairs and share their secrets. 15 minutes one way, 15 minutes another way. And after this 30 minutes exercise, I ask audience, who of you feels the trust to the person you just did the exercise with? Everybody raised their hands. And then I ask, please keep their hand reason if the person you were doing exercise together is the most trusted person in this room. Almost all 100% of hands are still in the air. Isn't it interesting? I'm asking then. We spent the whole day yesterday. We've spent a little bit of morning together already. And now you just did this 30 minutes exercise, but in fact only 15 minutes sharing your own secrets. And now you insist this is the most trusted person in the room. What happened when we walk out up on stage and we start sharing the truth about ourselves? Without trying to pretend, without trying to impress, just telling the truth with all our drawbacks, with all our problems we experience right now, we have this feeling from the audience. This is why actually over 50% of our clients come to us through the word of mouth. Parents would send their children to us. Bosses will send their employees to us. Business partners would send their partners to us because they trust. One more thing, when we try to hide something, what happens with the ball if you try to put it under the water? The ball wants to jump out. The same happens with our secrets. If you have the secret, we need to hide it and spend energy on it. The more secrets we have, the more balls we need to keep under the water. And at one moment, we will send all our energy to keep these balls, to protect our secrets, and we have no energy left to create the life of our dream. One of the easiest way to become free and energized is just to start sharing all your secrets. It's dangerous, and I will tell you why, but when we do this, we become free, and we ultimately invite much more people and friends and business partners and clients in our life. When I learned this secret, when I learned this, the law of transparency, in only a matter of 5 years, I started to earn over $1 million, starting from zero. And there are many other secrets to success, but we made this survey often with our clientele, and number one thing on the list why they choose Mykola Latansky, me, as their trainer, as their coach, was because of his transparency. Actually, what I learned, every drawbacks, every problem I have, I should be first telling this through a podcast. Many people would be afraid to tell the truth about it, or to tell they are broke, to tell they have problems with their partners. But I would be the first, and people love it so much, not because they want drama to hear, but because they see the real person in me. And I'm sharing this with you because it's such an easy tool. So I help many of speakers in Russian-speaking audiences, on Russian-speaking market, to become millionaires through this law of transparency. And I also call this the hero's journey. We can try to impress people being experts in something. We can try to sell ourselves through all our bias, bullets, etc. But what people really want to see is how we do developing personally. Back in 2000, I think it was back 2009, when I first figured out what podcasting is. There was only audio podcasting back at that time. My first podcast was, I was telling my audience, I will be recording the podcast every day, and I will be telling all the truths I'm experiencing in my life. I was so much scared to announce this and to promise this. But when I started to do this, back in 2008 or 2009, I don't remember now, in Ukraine, where I'm from, we have about 40 million people. None of the trainer would have in their room somebody outside of the Ukraine. 3 weeks later, when I started to record a podcast, people from Russia, then from Belarus, then from Kazakhstan, then from Germany, I mean Russian speaking, they started to fly into my city, Kiev, Ukraine, to train with me. A guy approached me and asked, do you know, Mykola, why I'm here and I came from St. Petersburg over here? I have no idea, tell me. I was listening to your podcast the last 2 weeks, and one moment I realized I know this guy, I trust this guy, and now I'm here because I want to learn more from you. This is how the law of transparency works. And also, another benefit for ourselves is when we start this journey, this hero journey, you must understand that you can only change in yourself what you truly accept about yourself. Another story happened to me. couple of years ago when I was speaking at a big company in China, again, company from Russia, and I was telling the law of success, the law of transparency. Next day, a woman approached me and says, Mykola, tell me how this works. I'm already 10 years in this company. I'm not earning that much as my friends with whom I started. They are earning over 20K a month, and I'm still doing 2K. I'm not telling my partners that I'm doing 20K, but I'm still not telling how much I'm doing. And I say, this is the problem. When we step on the hero's journey, and we are not happy with what we are doing now, we better say in front of the audience, I'm for 10 years already in this company. My friends with whom I started back 10 years ago already doing 20K plus a month. I'm still doing 2K, and I'm not happy with this reality, and I'm going to change this reality. Are you with me? And I'm pretty much sure there will be much more people who would love to follow this hero, this role model, who knows where to go and who has it enough in their life. We almost ran out of time, but two words. Why do we hide? We do hide because we don't like the way we really are. We don't want to be rejected, and we are afraid of losing our credibility. And to leave you with a practical tool, I want you to write down the exercise. You can do it on your own. Actually, you can do this every day to practice the law of transparency. How do I hide from others? First, what do I hide? For instance, I hide overweight still. I have 10 kilo to go. Who do you hide it from? From people, from audiences. What do you fear if they know? They would say, he's a success trainer, but still he has these challenges with overweight. What does hiding cost you? I spend a lot of energy to thinking about this and to hide this. What would you rather have? I would rather have accepting my weight and go in front of the audience showing some fat. How would you get it? I could work on accepting myself and just letting it be. This is how it works. And this is the exercise we do in our training. This is the exercise we do for 15 minutes, one way, 15 minutes, another way. And after this exercise is done, people in the room would say, this is the most trusted person. And one last thing, how do we practice the law of transparency? You don't need to go and tell the world everything bad about you. But the moment you are asked about something, you tell the truth. And people will love you. Thank you very much.